Sometimes we ask for things that are completely ludicrous and even on the verge of being lunacy. To ask for something that we do not understand, that God has prohibited, He has not given it to you because you didn't need it, and to get it will only cause you to be sick. Some of the very things that we have in our lives are making us sick, but guess what? God didn't give it to you outside of you declaring and asking for something that He never provided in the first place. The very first thing, the very first encounter that we have with God is Him providing. He provides for Adam what Adam doesn't even know he needs. It's already been provided. The only thing that Adam had to do was walk around in the dominion that had been provided for him. But now Adam goes outside of God's provision and starts to take what God didn't provide. Now we have a problem, because now we have provision and prohibition. We have what was permitted and what was prohibited. And when you start touching things that are prohibited, God says you may not have the strength to resist what I did not give you reference to know. One of the most dangerous and crucial things to have in life is to have an appetite for what you were never exposed to, what you were never supposed to have. This is my belief with I don't believe that homosexuality is a born condition. I don't believe anybody's born that way. I just don't believe that God failed in making individuals. I'm not going to put that on God. I'm not going to do that. What I do believe is what Paul begins to talk about. He said they were turned over to a reprobate mind. When I start to place God on trial, when I start to have an acquisition for something that I should not have reference for, the biggest difficult thing that I'm going to have to do is now curtail and fight an appetite that I never had the strength probably to endure. Because God's power was not to allow me to eat the fruit. He said, don't do it. Because if you eat the fruit, you may like the fruit. And if you like it, now you've got to fight your flesh to become delivered from what I never exposed you to. My deliverance was that you were never supposed to touch it or eat it. But now you've created a place that you're going to have to struggle with yourself. Let me make it a little bit more plain. If the crack addict never touched the crack, they would have no desire or addiction for the crack. Because you cannot become addicted from what you have not had reference for. The problem that people have is you've got an addiction because you have reference for what God said never touch. And now you've got to ask God to overcome the craving of your natural being. But here's the problem. God probably is not going to curtail your flesh. He's not going to do it. Paul says, I sought the Lord thrice to remove the thorn from my side, but he did not remove the thorn. He said one thing to me, and that is, my grace is sufficient. What he said to Paul was, I'm not going to remove what you've created an appetite for. But what I will do is give you the strength to be able to endure where you are. I'm going to teach you how to overcome what you should not have a desire for. And it's only going to come by my provision. That's what I want to talk to you tonight about, just provision. We'll take a look at everything else a little later, just provision. Can someone get me Exodus 25? Exodus 25. And I need you to read from verses 1 through 9. Exodus 25, 1 through 9. Go ahead, Latrice, because I like your translation a little bit better. Exodus 25, 1 through 9.
Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering. From everyone who gives it willingly with his heart, you shall take my offering. And this is the offering which you shall take from the gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, fine linen and goat hair, ram skin, dyed red, badger skin, and arcia wood. Okay. Oil from the light and spices, from the anointing oil and the sweetest incense, ox stones, and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate, and let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, according to all that I show you. that is the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all of its furnishing, just so you shall make it.
All right there. Okay, thank you. Verse number 8, look at that. Look at verse number 8 again. And let them make a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Let them make a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. I want to really focus here on verse number 8 for a few moments here. Let them make a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. I want you to understand that God literally says, I want you to create a place so that I can abide with you. I want you to create a place so that I can live with you. I want you to create a place so that I can visit with you. I want you to create a place so I can dwell right where you are. Now, the problem here is that I'm not going to create the place for you. I'm not going to create it. I have the ability, I have the intellect, I have the knowledge, I have the resource, I have the power, I have the ingenuity, I have the craftsmanship, but I'm not going to create a place so that I can hang out with you. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make you responsible. I'm going to give you a charge. I'm going to give you a duty that if you want to dwell with me, you're going to have to create the place so that I can come and dwell with you. Thus, what God begins is what we discussed very early in the first Bible class here, a word particularly called Eucharist. Someone say Eucharist. Euchrist. Eucharist. Eucharist. Communion with God. Communion with God. Communion with God creates, for the second word that we discussed in the very first Bible study, called soteriology. 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 Soteriology is salvation. To have communion with God will create salvation for men. What it literally says, two words explain soteriology and the Eucharist. Humanity and divinity. Humanity and divinity. For 430 years, Israel has had no communion with God. She has been desolate. She has been abandoned. She has been neglected. She has been abused. She has been misused, misappropriated. She's been taken advantage of. She's been raped. She's been isolated. And no one has stuck up for Israel except for the God who remembered the commandment and the covenant that he made with the man long before Israel became the nation that she was. For 430 years, Israel is estranged. And God designs a way for him to invite himself, reinvent himself back into her lives so that he can have relationship with Israel. Now listen to me here, listen to me. The problem that we've encountered in the 21st century is we begin to preach and expostulate to people about religion. Religion destroys more things in life than anything else. Anything else. There is nothing that will, they say with religion and politics, the two things that destroy the world, religion and politics. But I would say that political matters still don't have the resistance and the stigma, the pain that religion has. Because what religion does, politics can't do. Politics cannot validate your life. Politics can't do that. They might give you a surface answer, but they cannot answer the true and only question that religion, not psychology, not sociology, not pathology, not ideology, the only thing that can answer the true and living question that everybody has to ask themselves at one particular time or another is, what is life's meaning? What is life's meaning? Am I going to go somewhere when I leave here? Is it going to be heaven? Is it hell? Is it purgatory? Is it the palace? Am I going to have 100 virgins like the Muslims believe? What is this afterlife about? Politics can't answer that. Politics can't answer that. There is only one place that can answer that, and that is the place, not religion. Relationship answers that question. Because based off of my relationship with God through the scope of religion, I learn how to get to the place that I'm believing